Us. Thanks, Alok. For our next session, while the stage is being set, I would like to invite upon stage Pooja Juneja. Pooja is the founder of Pooja Juneja Jewellery Designs. She's a very unique person. I was just going through her profile and I read that she's a mathematics graduate from Delhi University, but then she went on to study design at the Kazuko Design School in Japan. And now, of course, she leads this fabulous jewelry brand that she's going to be talking about. Some of our women founders are absolutely fascinating from uh, the journey perspective, and that is why we are here. We'll be talking about it. I would like to invite upon the stage Dhaval Gupta. Dhaval is a charter member at TAI. He, of course, is the MD of CyberMedia India. But more than that, he's been a very steadfast mentor, and mentoring is something that we've been talking about in the initial session. Dhaval has been one of our strongest mentors in the space of marketing, helping founders both in a one-to-one way, but also on multiple occasions. So thank you very much, Dhaval. Over to Dhaval and Pooja.
Thank you, Upasna. How's everyone doing? Let me ask again. How's everyone doing? Okay, we have a fun cookout session after this, which I was really looking forward to. So we kind of stand between you and the food and the fun festivities of the evening, let me say. But before I start, and we get talking with Pooja, I also want to just sort of use this opportunity to mention that we are celebrating the 25th year of TAI. And I think, TAI has done a lot to foster women entrepreneurship over the years. I think if we can have big round of applause for Gitika, Upasna, the entire team over the years, where, they have made it a point across all events to ensure that there are women entrepreneurs, representation. I remember in the early years, there was, I don't know, probably less than 3% participation of women. And this last year, Gitika, what would have been the percentage of women participants? 30%. Wow. That's a big number. I don't think you find that often. So, kudos for, I think, TAI really providing a platform for women entrepreneurs. Pooja is a successful woman entrepreneur, and it's really my pleasure to take up this topic. And there's a lot more to be done, right? Of course, I think we all know that. There's still a lot of challenges that women entrepreneurs face. But Pooja, I'd like to just get things started by asking you, how did your journey start? What was, your entrepreneurship bug? Where did that come from?
Thank you, Dhaval. Well, the moment I entered the room, I first checked the number of women because I needed to, because I knew it's only those who come from the same gender would realize where it's coming from. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Most of them went to FMS. So when I started my journey, half the vendors asked me, "Ma'am, आपको कोई काम नहीं मिला जो आप jewelry की line में आ गए हो? I mean, you could have got a corporate job. Why are you producing, manufacturing, and selling jewelry?" I mean, they would actually look down to me as if, I was a failure who's coming into this orthodox setup where it was not only that it was not welcome, it was also surprising for them. So it so happened that after my MBA, we moved to Tokyo, and I started my entrepreneurship journey over there with fortunately being enrolled under Kazuko Araki, who's a big name in Tokyo. And I started my entrepreneurial journey because while Kazuko taught me creative design, she liked a few patents, and we came down to an understanding where I was getting the patents manufactured for her in India and supplying it to her in Tokyo. And I'm really proud to say that it was very difficult for me, even, for anybody to believe that this 22-year-old girl has something else in mind. So I used the token amount, I mean, the sagan amount I got in my wedding quietly to start this business because I really wasn't confident where it's going. And fortunately for me, it kicked off so well that within a few months, we were making jewelry and supplying it for all the ramp shows for Kazuki. And for my own personal reasons, Manik's dad fell ill and we had to wind up the total business. It was not difficult for me, it was more difficult for because he moved the tech business. I just moved base of silver jewelry, coming back to India, not knowing, knowing very well that I won't do silver jewelry in India, you know, because it wasn't considered as luxury as it was considered in Tokyo. So I took a job of about 3 to 6 months to understand what is, how does the whole setup of fine jewelry work. Because when it comes to diamonds, there was no, you know, Dhaval, there was no really a school where somebody could tell me all those things as to, you know, where do you source them from, where do you get the right quality, what quality sells, what margins to keep, who are the karigars who manufacture. So it's like entering a business, wanting to enter a business with zero experience, with zero any base. Nobody tells you anything about this line because it's an absolute line with closed doors. You know, you can't. It's totally a family-run business, going from one generation to another, and you know, women, forget it. Even men were not allowed to open the door because it was so well guarded, very well guarded.
So you know, no other women entrepreneurs in the space. So you had to kind of work your way through understanding each and everything. That would have taken years. So you know.
Dhaval, I'll tell you something. As I mentioned earlier, you know, so to the women out here, you can understand. I would go to Panchratna to buy diamonds, and I was looked upon as an alien, and there was no separate washroom for women. I had to calculate my cycle so that I can manage that day I forget peeing. I mean, what would I do if I'm down? So it was so difficult, and if I would be sitting in that room, no man would enter to sell diamonds because they thought maybe a relative has just come to meet somebody. So they would not show me packets. They thought I don't even know how to open a packet of diamond. And on that table, for the first 1 or 2 years, I was quiet, and then I learned the tricks, and I was also clicking my fingers. Dada, idhar rakho table. Main khud packet kholungi. Because earlier they were like, ma'am, zara sambhal ke kholna, koi chatak na jaye piece. So it's like, it's been interesting, but.
I'm sure there are a lot of stories behind that, but was there sort of a moment where, you know, you overcame an obstacle and you kind of felt that, okay, you know, now I've sort of made it as an entrepreneur and I know my way through. Any specific moment or any specific story that comes to mind?
See, the moment I was preparing for MBBS, then I did maths honors because that's the only subject I was good at. So because you know, I was like, what do I do? So maths honors, till then I didn't even know what am I going to do. So the moment I was in my final year MBA, I decided I'm going to do business. So there was no way looking back that I'm not going to do it. And a friend long back told me that if you want to make it successful, you just need one thing, that is jazba. So the point is that I knew I have to do it. There is no way I'm not going to do it. And as much as I talk about the guarded doors of this business, I also talk about the wonderful men who understood that this girl actually wants to do it and were very, very supportive in terms of mentoring, guiding, and even recommending. So when I started off, I knew I just have to do it. There's no other way. I have to do it. So Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council had a small course of about 3 months to learn all about colored stones, diamonds, gemstones, and I, uh, Manik told me that if you're entering this line and you want to take diamonds to Tokyo, listen, I have a very well established business over there, and you can't even recognize whether it's a diamond or a zircon. I don't want to go to Tokyo because the rules, not knowing it, and I don't want to go to the jail. The rules are very strong over there. So he says, if you can top the course, that will give me some kind of assurance that you're serious into this business. I not only topped the course, my answer sheets became their sample papers. So they just asked me, ma'am, can you teach? And I, at the back of my mind, was like, listen, I am here to make a big business, and you're offering me a teaching job. And I was like, I don't know if I want to go and teach 8 to 10. And that's where my dad, being a seasoned entrepreneur, told me that this is the biggest opportunity you have, because you don't know anybody in the trade. You come from a family where nobody's done jewelry business. Now, you take the 8 to 10 batch where only jewelers come to learn, or they send their kids to learn. And trust me, my biggest asset was that 40 to 50% were the kids who had never studied in school. And they just fell in love with this young teacher from Tokyo who made them study in a way that they were studying at 12 o'clock at night for ma'am's lecture the next day. Their parents started calling, what have you done that they are studying so much? They haven't studied all through their life. Can we help you in some way? So that's how, by the end of those 3 months, all the sources, the vendors, where do you buy diamonds? What is the right source for colored stones? Where is the right mandi? Where are the karigars? Everything came on a platter to me, and the recommendation went to MMTC, which is the Metals and Minerals Trading Corporation, that this girl can do something. Just look into her work. About 6 months after that, I filed for, they had this opportunity where they were finding designers for empanelment to take, they were revamping MMTC. That's the only government company that's into jewelry. So fortunately, while they were revamping it, they needed some designers, and I got selected on their designers panel, and also found a vacuum that they do not have any designers as their vendors. So within the next 1 year, I was supplying jewelry to MMTC also, and I was also consulting them pan-India as to what kind of designs they should keep for the modern woman.
Fantastic. You've of course talked about various examples of obstacles and various challenges that you went through. What would be some of the advice that you would give to fellow women entrepreneurs, and in terms of how to overcome those setbacks?
See, entrepreneurship, when defined, doesn't come, the definition doesn't have the word gender, Dhaval. But gender roles in society are defined. So for a woman entrepreneur, right from the beginning, comes a very big guilt. A guilt of leaving the family, a guilt of leaving small kids. So the balance is very difficult. So more than to the woman, I would request the men in the room to make her less guilty. And I would give a lot of credit to my husband and my in-laws, who pushed me out of the door saying that you do not need to feel guilty about doing something which even he is doing. So when we are both doing the same thing, why do you need to feel guilty? So that guilt really makes you do double the work. You would wake up till 2 o'clock so that the presentation of the kid is also ready for the next day, because I do not want to wake up with a failure at home where I say that, the gene pool is right in the production, why aren't the grades coming? So for that, you need to work double. But if the man is supportive, the guilt by itself makes it easy.
And so what is the secret to creating that balance between the personal life? Because, obviously on the home front, there are a lot of responsibilities, much more often than what men have at home. Is it even possible?
It's definitely possible.
Okay, well,
It is.
fantastic.
It is. And I learned it from one of the clients who was a gynecologist. She says that we've come a long way. You better be careful because you're paving way to the next generation. And she would tell me that, I was like, I am so tired. I have to go back and teach the child. She said, only teach the child? I was like, yeah. She said, I'm a gynecologist and my husband is an ophthalmologist. And when we come back home, my mother-in-law expects me to go to the kitchen, cook and serve him on the table, though we can very well afford a cook. So does your mother-in-law expect that? I said, no way. Everything is done by the time I reach home. She says, make it even easier for the next generation. That's what you can do. But having said that, the challenges are also because my generation was raised by perfect homemakers. 100% perfect homemakers who made it so comfortable for us while growing up that when we are not giving it all to their family, when we take up those responsibilities, that guilt pulls us down. So as mothers, I think when we take those roles, it becomes easy when you tell the next generation, or if I have a budding entrepreneur who comes to me and says, there's so many things and I am juggling so many balls. I say it's going to be there, it's going to be tough, it's going to be hard, but it's worth it. It's really, really worth it.
Let me bring in leadership in here, right? So, in terms of making sure that you're able to juggle all the responsibilities, and also the fact that you have to dedicate more energy, more time, equally, and do everything probably a lot more efficiently. What are some of the leadership lessons that you have learned? And I also want to actually ask that would you, based on your observations, are men as leaders very different from what are some of the leadership traits that women need to have?
Dhaval, let me just tell you, the best lessons were taught by men to me.
Okay.
So I'm not the kind who would say, kudos to all the men who taught me so much, be it my grandfather or father while growing up, because I grew up in a house, joint family with 7 boys and the only girl. So I was taught to kick as hard as the boys do. I was told that you're not going to do dhobi ka hisab, you're also going to do business the way they do. So you be prepared for it. And early on, we were all given the same lesson. I was also taught by a man in this trade who comes as a vendor and hasn't even gone to school after 10th. But he taught me the lesson ki ma'am, is business mein never look at the tijori. So he taught me how hard your heart has to be if you're not looking at your investment as stones, pure stones. In his language, patthar mat dekhna. Don't look कि मैंने पत्थर में इतना पैसा डाल दिया and where is the money gone. So the best advice has come from men, and that I really appreciate, because there are a few mistakes where women in my trade have been doing, and I learned it from the men when they say that, sometimes it's difficult to deal with women because they're buying jewelry as if they're buying vegetables. So it's like, ye exchange ho jayega. So that's where they taught me to to have your table value. So all these small tricks of the trade where you have a table value in a jewelry industry is that today if I call up in the market and then say that I need inventory worth, say, a few CR, it will come in a minute. But that hasn't come overnight. That is by keeping your word in this industry every year, every month, every transaction. So that's what the men taught me. Having said that, I was never allowed to be a part of the boys' club. Never. So, it's only sweetly and gently that I learned from outside, but you're never allowed to enter that room.
All right. So leadership is of course gender neutral. So I think fantastic answer. Having said that, we were earlier chatting about that when it comes to young women entrepreneurs, right? And when they are looking for mentorship, right? Of course, they learn from men, but maybe it's a different kind of questions, a different kind of considerations for at least a young woman entrepreneur? And should they be proactively looking for a women mentor? And if yes, then, again, what are going to be some of the things that may help them?
Dhaval, this is the biggest challenge, especially in our industry, because there have hardly been any first generation women entrepreneurs in jewelry industry taking care of designing, manufacturing and sales. So I've had so many women coming to me and saying, we want to do the business, but you take care of the design and manufacturing, or they taking the inventory from a local vendor and selling it further. But there have been very, very few who do end to end. I have been fortunate to do it because I had to supply to MMTC. So MMTC comes with its own quality check, so that you cannot take it from a vendor and give it to them. So it has to be end-to-end manufacturing. But it doesn't happen. So you do not have many women entrepreneurs to actually tell you the challenges, who do not, that this is how the karigars operate, who've been also operating from generations like this, and these are the loopholes. So this is how a set is hallmarked, but do you know that sometimes smartly only the chain is hallmarked and the set has all the impurity? So there are so many day-to-day questions which are not answered, and mostly of the women entrepreneurs I would meet were coming from jewelry, from families who were doing this as a jewelry business and now wanted their women also to take a step forward other than the way earlier they were doing for their boys. So if it is that, if you have mentors and you can ask them direct questions and transparent answers, it makes...
What could be some of those questions?
There are so many. There are so many. I mean, even...
We have women entrepreneurs in the room, so I think, they would be... I mean, I'm sure their experiences are unique, but at the same time...
Yeah, because again, unique in terms of every industry. But then there are questions like handling the team, handling the staff, handling I'm a visiting faculty at NIFT, so I joined that only to understand the mindset from the professors over there, that whom do I hire as a designer and why are they operating the way they are operating. So there are so many things that you have to move outside your comfort zone. It's just not setting up a business. I mean, it is taking out hours and going and taking these teaching jobs, not only because I'm passionate about it, it's also because meeting the right people and asking them, how do I do it? And there's so many other women who were working in the corporate, who were working with Tanishq and Reliance, who came up to me and asked me that, how's it been? How's the journey been? And should we leave our corporate job and start this? So my answer was that it's not going to be a hobby. It's going to be tougher than your corporate job. So if you're leaving that corporate job to start a business, looking it for something which will be more relaxed, it's not. The road it's a challenge every day. Be it with the team, be it with the karigars, be it with the customers. So now that I have a small group of women who are more into designers, so maybe they could be an interior designer. So suddenly when you talk to them and you see that they are facing the challenges about consumer behavior in a very odd manner from that section of society where you do not expect that section to behave in a way, but when you talk one-to-one, you realize, oh, it's a generic problem. It's nothing to do with me.
Right. Now, in the previous session, the first session of the day, we also spoke about the next 25 years, right? And so any thoughts on what are some of the things that organizations like TIE, platforms like TIE can do to help women entrepreneurs?
Dhaval, as I said that for me, if we have, I'm also a part of FICCI, but when it comes to FLO, it's all totally women-oriented sessions. So I truly believe that we can have gender neutral sessions, but more industries can be covered, and you have more mentors and people at that stage of their business where they are not insecure about sharing uh, the insights of work, because many a times when I started off, I realized that there was so much of insecurity that people wouldn't want to give their sources, thinking that this would be grabbed, you know. So if you have people from the industry who are more secure and at that stage where they are genuinely ready to give you, it's not somebody's asking that, you tell us our clients or vendors. No, but there are many other questions, but it doesn't really need to be specific to a, a gender. It has to be more gender neutral, but we need more mentorship, more one-to-one conversations to understand how things operate.
Right. Okay. So I have one last question before we open it up to the audience. You're of course an entrepreneur, but you're also married to an entrepreneur, right? And today we also have spouses in the room. So how is it also being partner of an entrepreneur?
I think we are two crazy people got married. Okay, so I'll talk about the positive about it. So, the good part is we are totally different personalities, and that's how it works. Where I go, I speak out about each and every thing that goes on in the office. He doesn't talk about the tornado that's passed through. But one good thing that really helped both of us were, and we tried incorporating this quite early on in our relationship, is that we were looking at the macro level of business from outside. So we wouldn't be involved in each other's business for day-to-day things, but we were both watching each other from outside, and we were the first to stop or encourage, and somebody who could genuinely come and tell you that, no, this is not the right thing to do, or I think you're missing this opportunity. So it's like looking at, giving a bird's hawk view from outside, being involved in each other's business, but not being nosy. So, it's like Manik's been with me to all the tables where we buy diamonds. So, for him, that was looking at another industry altogether, which is absolutely a different industry. And for me, it's like talking about, how the IT industry operates. I wouldn't know a bit of it unless it was him discussing, the new technologies coming into being, the changes happening, and how they're going in from services to products, whether they should go, they shouldn't go, what challenges are there. So when we make the pros and cons list for every major decision, we look at it as a bird's view from outside, which has really helped both of us.
Okay, so you've made each other better entrepreneurs, but I know you've put a positive twist on it. But maybe one, hard thing about being married to an entrepreneur.
You want me to start the list now?
No, no. I mean, this is for the, I think, the partners of entrepreneurs in the room, and just you have any experience. It doesn't have to be a story. One of the hardest things about being married to an entrepreneur. I can talk about mine. I think there is a lot of uncertainty that entrepreneurs live with, and we sort of depend on spouses to sort of bring us to ground reality and stuff, and Kinri does that for me.
Yeah,
So you were talking about Manik, so I thought maybe you can share.
So early on, I remember I was one of his biggest. I was funding WinSolve for a very long time. So I remember doing.
So you got a good ROI on it.
Yeah, of course. I took.
All right, that's
Yeah,
good.
I was, and I know sitting. It's like talking about the elephant in the room, but you actually ask, listen, how many years would it take to get the ROI? It's been so long, and where are you guys going with all these funding? I mean, you don't know next month whether you have money to pay salaries or not, and you're again looking at Lambent, that would Lambent be supportive in paying these salaries? And I was like, okay, but when? Till when are you going to struggle to make this turn around? So, and there's so many other things which you know, I'm sure you know. And when we start the Q&A, I know that there's so many things, even about the working hours, about you know, about there was a very interesting point where Manik wanted to get into partnership, and I wasn't very comfortable about it. And he also said that, you know, for a tech business, I need tech partners. So I can't have a non-technical person being a partner with me. So it was that we went through all the pros and cons, and when he came back from the meeting, we actually said that look at the percentage that you're ready, you know, just for a small percentage, are you ready just to have support discussions for that small percentage, for which he changed his whole geography, and it's a whole story. But again, yeah, there are things where when you're not from the same industry, there are challenges which you do not understand, which the other industry is facing.
No, I think entrepreneurs, of course, under a lot of pressure, and I think that's a fantastic story about supporting them through whatever thick and thin. Okay, love to open the floor, open it up for the floor for some questions. Can we have one or two mics floating around? Or okay, they're there. Great.
I think it was a fantastic session. They don't have any questions.
All right. Well, I think also everybody is thinking about
The food.
food and drinks. So, yeah, please.
So Pooja, when you spoke about all these guys who won't let you touch the diamonds and everything, so that is where you went into a man-dominated world, right? Let's talk about the world where you chose vendors, suppliers, others. As a woman entrepreneur, did the women take precedence, or what was your criteria of choice when you chose a vendor, a partner? How much of a role did whether you were dealing with a woman play?
See, I was asking
Whom
easier.
was I dealing with a woman, sir, over here?
No,
Those
I'm
suppliers-
saying when you, I mean, you chose a printing partner, whatever, marketing, some social media partner, this, that.
Those choices were much simpler compared to my main challenges. There are no tables in Bombay where women sell. There is no karigar who is a woman.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
is
I
no-
understand that part. I mean, that male-dominated, that's why I started my question saying, forget the male-dominated world, because I mean, kudos to you that you were able to participate in a male-dominated world and make a place for yourself. That is great. But I'm
No,
saying
but
where
men
you
are
had a
not that
choice.
bad. They were very supportive.
Well,
but
we'll
yes.
talk about it over drinks. But, you know, what I'm trying to get to is a woman entrepreneur's mindset in a choice where it is between men and women, do women take precedence, or what is the criteria?
No, for me, that was not a criteria.
That was never a criteria.
Never. It's like whoever does the good job, my work goes there. But yes, as a woman entrepreneur entering a room full of men, yes, the only, again, hundreds of stories on that. My first criteria and main criteria was also my own safety. I will not lie to you on that. Yes, I chose vendors, and then I asked them to recommend vendors, telling them that, and I have my total team are women. My designers, my assistants, everybody running around the field are all women, and the only question told to the vendor is, please send a man where my team feels comfortable. So yes, that's a very, very big challenge, because we filtered first on the basis of our safety. Where we were not, if we were uncomfortable, we did not let that vendor enter our office.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pooja. Dhaval, would you
Can we have one more question? I think there's a.
Yeah, hi, I'm Pooja too.
Hi, Pooja.
Hi. So, Pooja meets Pooja. Okay, so you mentioned a lot of your team is women. So is that intentional to be able to promote them, or it's in line with what Raman was asking, but this is more for your internal team. So is that for that, or are they better for the job, or is there any other reason why you have more women?
See, again, being a woman entrepreneur, I really wanted, I had this in mind that I will have a team full of women, and I proudly say that the way the team is supported, and the way people coming from not those strong backgrounds have been, are financially so well empowered that they proudly go back, and when they go and buy a property in their name, I applaud. I'm the first one to applaud, saying that yes, this is financial independence, that you have a say, because today you are the one who is making decisions. So that, yes, that was a decision that I couldn't control my vendors, but I could definitely control the team.
Employees.
Yes.
Great, great. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And Pooja, thank you. It's been a lovely session and talking to you and hearing your story. And with that, I think we're going to bring the day to a close.
Thank you so much, Dhaval. Thank you, Pooja. Remarkable story.
Thank
Sort of making your mark in a man's world. Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Dhaval, for your time. Thanks, both of you, for making this special, this session very special. I would now request Geetika to come up on the stage to give each of you a small token of our affection. Thank you. Once again, we'd like to thank our gifting partners, Beast Life and Pool. This is really a delight to have them with us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for this. This session now closes, and of course, we'll be moving towards the cookout. Since we are running a little bit late, I think 10 minutes, and I think this is the hall right behind, so we walk like that, turn right and another right, and that's the place. And also, it's already set. I went and saw it, yeah, for the cookout.